Hello, learners. I'm Inma Borrella, and I'm your course lead for SC0x. I'm delighted to be here today with you in this first live event for SC0x, Supply Chain Analytics. Here accompanying me is Samantha Varney, and she is the Marketing and Communications Officer for the MicroMasters. So thank you for being here, Samantha.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So I work with SC0x, Inma on the marketing and emails, hopefully you get from me, working with Arthur Grau. And I will be on chat if you have any questions that come up in the YouTube. Feel free to ping me.
Great, so let's get started. And first of all, I would like to set up the expectations for the live event. We prepared an agenda. So this is the contents we're going to cover based on the requests for many learners. Should we switch to the slides or just so
Yeah.
that, I mean, the agenda is not that important, but all right. Okay. So this is the agenda. We will start talking a little bit about SC0x because, as you all know, because you've been in the course for a while, we have a new format. And for some people, it's hard to self-regulate or to organize in a way that they can be ready for the final exam. So we will give you some advice. Then we will talk about the SC0x final exam because it's approaching. And of course, people want to know more about it. We've received a lot of requests from learners in the forums and in the email. So we will clarify all the points that you need to know about the final exam. And finally, we will dive into a topic that is probability. And particularly, we will answer questions about the problem that we shared in the exam prep section. But we will also help you to develop some intuition by thinking about probability distributions graphically. So that's what we're going to be doing today in the next 20, 30 minutes, and hope you enjoy. And please reach out to us through the chat because this is a live event and we really want to interact with you. So regarding the SC0x contents and pace, we have 5 modules in SC0x, but what is very important for you to know if you're still in modules 1 or 2 is that not every module is equally long or equally intense, let's say. So module 1 and 2 are, the contents are shorter and the less, the quantity of concepts being taught are not as many. While in module 3 and 4 and 5 are more intense, are longer modules, and you should be ready to allocate enough time to cover all these contents before the final exam. That's why we've prepared this graph on the left hand, where we try to communicate what's the weight in time or effort. This is an estimation, of course, but what's the weight of each module in the total time that you should be allocating to the course. So, of course, this will depend on your background and how much you know about the different topics, because maybe you know already a lot about statistics, then you could fly through module 3. But if you are new to all the topics, just please take this into account. Not all the modules have the same weight, have the same weight in time and effort. And on the right side of your screen, you can see the time we have left until the exam. So today is May 9th, and we have 6 weeks left before the final exam opens. So please, just looking at these 2 graphs, just think about your background and like how much you have completed already in the course and plan accordingly so you don't have unpleasant surprises 1 week before the exam.
Great. I guess we do have one question, is for the effort of students that are enrolled or verified just in the last few weeks, do you have any recommendations for preparing or catching up based on your model?
Yeah, so they should really hurry up, and if they are committed and they dedicate enough hours every week, they can still make it. We estimate, and this is a rough estimate, but we estimate that people dedicate on average 100 hours per course to cover all the contents. So if they think they can allocate that amount, around that amount of hours in the coming weeks, then they could definitely make it.
Awesome.
Great. So now let's dive into the final exam, because I know like this is what worries you the most. First of all, regarding eligibility, only verified learners can take the final exam. So if you are planning on taking the final exam, you have to be verified. Of course, this live event is open only to verified learners, but if you have colleagues who are thinking like they want the certificate and are taking the course and are not verified yet, just let them know that they need to verify it if they want to access the final exam. The verification deadline is on May 29th. Then regarding the grade, the final exam accounts for 100% of the course grades. There's no other exercise that is graded during the course. So it's all in this one shot, in the final exam. The score to pass the course should be 60% or above. So not 58, not 59, it has to be 60. The exam will be opened during 1 week. It opens on Wednesday, June 19th at 1500 UTC and closes on Wednesday, June 26th at 1500 UTC. So what does this mean? So that the exam is available during all that period, and you can choose which time to take it in that period. Of course, you can't start on Wednesday, June 26th at 1500 UTC. At that time, the exam closes. So plan accordingly because you want to have enough time to complete the exam. Once you start the exam, it is a timed exam, so you will have 4 hours to complete it. So once you click the Start My Exam button, a clock will appear on your screen and the countdown from 4 hours will start until 0. So you need to complete and submit all the problems before the end of the time, the end of that time, the end of the 4 hours. This should be more than enough time to complete the problems because we design the problems so you can actually complete the whole exam in like shorter time. So these 4 hours will allow you to review some of the problems too and some of the answers. Regarding the exam contents, you will find 4 problems in the exam. These problems will cover contents from modules 1 to 5. So it will be a comprehensive exam for the whole course. And you can expect a mix of qualitative and quantitative questions in each problem. So in each problem, you can have like some numerical questions where you have to calculate something, or some qualitative questions where you have to reason and select among different options in a multiple choice question. Those are the 2 types that you most likely will find in the problems. And something that is very important and that some people complain about, but this is the way our rigorous exams are made, because rigorosity is very, very important for us to provide a MIT SC0x certificate to people. We need to make sure that they like really learn the concepts and are able to complete the problems. So in order to do so, we only provide 2 attempts per question and no feedback. We will provide no feedback about if your answers are right or wrong. So no green or red checks. You just will see that your answer has been submitted, and that's all. So please keep that in mind because this is different from the problems that you've been solving in the course. In the course, you get this feedback. You can see if the answer is right or wrong. But in the exam, you won't be able to see this. So it's like a real exam in a in-person setting in that sense.
So one question that did come up about the final exam is just looking at the feedback after the exam is done. Is there any sort of items that come up that they'll be able to see their questions, where they got wrong, or the feedback or the actual correct answers, just in case they want to take it another time and study a little bit harder?
Yeah, so we haven't done that in the past, but we are considering to start doing it. in SC0x, other of our courses in the MicroMasters, we started providing feedback after the exams, just because of this reason. Because if people don't know what they got wrong, they can't learn accordingly. So even if the exam is a pure assessment exercise, we are considering to provide this feedback. So we will get a confirmation, official confirmation soon.
Perfect. Awesome.
Yeah. So if you have any more questions, just please use the chat on the right of your screen, on the right of our faces. Or no, actually, it's in the left.
It's on the right.
No, we are the other way around. It's like a mirror.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go back to the presentation now. And because I prepared a slide to recommend you how, or to suggest you how you can prepare for the exam. So I don't know if you're aware of this, but in each module, you have a section that is called Test Your Knowledge. This Test Your Knowledge section is actually like a mini exam for the module. It's not graded, it's just some exercises, but they are comprehensive exercises that will help you assess if you have learned enough, or if you have assimilated the concepts that you should assimilate in that module. So I strongly recommend you, after you finish reviewing a module, to take this Test Your Knowledge section and see how well or bad you perform in it. If you perform well, you could consider that you are ready to go forward. If your performance is not so good, then consider reviewing the concepts and of course, checking also the responses or the solutions to those problems, so you understand where you are making mistakes. So these Test Your Knowledge sections are really good tools to prepare for the exam. Besides, we are now offering, since last week, the exam prep section. So what we are doing here is to solve problems from previous exams. This, of course, is always very helpful because it will give you an idea what's the level of difficulty and also the type of problems that you will find in the exams. Of course, then in the exam, you can find a problem that is a little bit more challenging or a little bit easier than the ones we solve, because each exam is different, but you will get a little bit an idea of the flavor of the exam. And what we are going to offer too, because we know it's hard to prepare for an exam, and also people get very nervous because, of course, you've been preparing for a long time and you only have this one shot to pass the course. That is the final exam. So we want to reduce the stress a little bit by providing a practice exam. This practice exam, we will open it 1 week before the final. And it will be a timed exam. It will replicate the same environment that you will find in the final exam. So by taking this practice exam, you can really get the feeling of taking the exam itself. And then when you take the exam, you know how it works. So that's why we are going to be offering this. And more information will be coming soon about the practice exam. Down here in the screen, you can see an estimation of the next live events, also when we'll open the practice exam and when the real exam will be. So the next weeks will be pretty busy. We will confirm all the dates in the coming weeks, but keep this in mind so you have an idea of how can you prepare for the exam interacting with us at the same time. Great. So this was all about the course and the exam. And now let's talk a little bit more about the exam prep section. The exam prep section, I hope you're all familiar with it. Now, what we are going to do here is to solve problems from the exam, from past exams of SC0x. And we will be, since we have a limited time from now to the exam, we will be covering 3 main topics. The first one is going to be probability. The next one will be hypothesis testing, and then we will talk about linear programming. So today, we're going to be talking about probability. If you go to the exam prep section, you will find already a problem there, as a problem about probability distributions, a video with a step-by-step solution that I recorded last week, and the live event section that is like part of what we are doing now. But also in the live event section, you will see a forum that is specifically for you to ask questions or to like propose topics that you want to be covered during the live event. So for this live event, we didn't get too many questions or comments, maybe because the platform was down this morning, unfortunately. But for the upcoming live events, please use that forum to post your questions or any doubt you have, anything you want us to cover during the live event, so we can prepare for it. So what I would like to do now, if there's no questions about the previous sections that we covered, is to dive into the topic that we want to cover today. The topic is probability. And first of all, I would like to state the importance of probability distributions in the supply chain management area. Why is it important that we supply chain professionals know about probability? Because the world is an uncertain place. So it's very hard to determine what's going to happen the next month in our supply chain, with our demand, with our inventory. It's hard. So probability is a tool that helps us to plan for it. It's very useful for characterizing demand. We can use it to approximate how demand is going to behave, and then use it for plan in our supply chain. It will play a big part in inventory management, and you will see that in SC0x, our next course in the MicroMasters. Particularly, we use it a lot for the solve the news vendor problem, stochastic inventory management. And you will also use it in our MicroMasters for risk management, and hopefully in real life too. But in the MicroMasters, we use it to assess the probability of some risk happening and impacting our businesses. So it's a very important building block for supply chain managers and also for MicroMasters students. So it will be great that you get a good grasp of probability distributions. Of course, we know that probability sometimes is not so easy to understand. For some people, it's really like not too intuitive. So we wanted to encourage you to use the sandboxes. We have sandboxes for many different concepts. These sandboxes are little widgets that help you play with the different concepts and better understand them in a more intuitive way. So if you go to the course, how do you say that, index, you will find the Sandboxes section in there. And in the Sandboxes section, you will find one that is specific about probability distributions. If we go now to that, to the course, or switching window. Thank you, Sam. Okay, so this is what you will find if you go into the course, into the sandbox area, and click on the continuous distribution sandbox. Right, if you just open it, you won't see much, but can I open?
Yep.
Yeah, here. If you click here, the recalc and auto window, then the distribution will appear. So right now, this is a normal distribution with a mean of 0 and a standard deviation of 1. You remember in our problem, we had the problem we solved about probability in the exam prep section. We had a normal distribution with a mean of 1,266 and a standard deviation of 253. So we could actually replicate this distribution here graphically. I click recalc and auto window 2, and now I have the normal distribution for the values that I introduced, that are the values in my problem. So how can this widget help us understand or think about the questions that they are asking us in the problem? Oh, here, if we start moving this slider, we will see how the value x is moving, and you see it here, and also the cumulative area. So the area under the curve, the value, is showing here. So if you keep moving, then you get here to the mean, more or less around the mean, 1,300. Then the cumulative area, around the mean, there, should be around 0.5. Of course, these values are not super exact because we don't want you to use this widget to solve the problems. We want you to use the exact calculations, so you can calculate this in Excel. But here, this will help you understand what you are doing. So in the first question, if you remember, Natural Beauty, so the company in the problem, decided to stock 1,200 units. So let's go there, 1,200, more or less around that. And the question of the problem was, if that's the level of stock, what is the probability that the demand during that month exceeds the stock level? So if the demand exceeds the stock level, that means that the demand will be higher than this value, right? This is my stock. So what if the demand is higher than its value? What is the probability of my demand being higher than this value? Is this area that is colored in yellow? No, it's actually this other area on the right of this value, of this line. So I could just make, okay, so then all this area is going to be 1 minus this area, because all the total area under this curve is going to be equal to 1, as you know. So I could do 1 minus the cumulative area on the left, or I could just like check the right tail, and now what is colored is the probability of stocking out, the probability of the demand being higher than this value here, that is 1,200. So as I said, this is inexact because the correct answer is 60%, but close enough, and you can get an idea. This is good for thinking about it, if it helps you. You could also check other distribution types here. So let's go back to the slides. Great. So that about the sandboxes. And this is the problem that you hopefully solved, that I solved step by step in a video that is available in the platform. And maybe if you have questions about the problem, something that you were struggling with, just let us know and we can ask them directly. If not, I will just highlight a few points from each question. So things you should be like aware of, or really like looking for when you're solving these kind of problems. So, cool. Do we have any?
We do have some questions.
Okay, so then let's stop. I'm tired of hearing myself talk all the time.
Okay, so let's see. One big question is regarding the final the test exam. How many times that the students will be able to actually try it, and if they will get feedback on the test, the prep exam.
Yes. So that's a very good question. So I'm gonna be, what I would like for the exam prep to be is like not providing feedback at all in the prep itself, because that defeats the purpose. I want you to feel like if you were in the real exam. So the settings will be exactly the same. It will be timed to 4 hours. There will be 4 problems. You will receive no feedback, and you will have 2 attempts per question. However, I can provide you with the solutions afterwards once you complete the prep exam. That makes total sense because this is to help you prepare. So yes, I will do that.
So another question is how how many times can they try the prep exam?
Yeah. Well, I haven't thought about that, but we could set it up so you can like try it a few times if you need to. That shouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see if we have anything else. That seems to be it for the most part. We've answered most of the other questions, which is great. Yeah.
Yeah. So should we continue? We have 5 minutes left. So you have 5 minutes opportunity to ask more questions. You have us here live.
Okay, so one question did just come in. So available tools or software that they can use on the exam? Is it just items that they've used in the course itself, or can they have access to other items?
That's a great question. So you can use, this is an open book exam, so you can use anything you want. You cannot collaborate with others. So you cannot use other people. That's very, very important. If we found out that you have collaborated with other people outside of like yourself, then there will be consequences. But apart from that, if you don't collaborate with other people, you can use any software that you need, or even if software that we haven't used in the course. That's totally fine for us. This is for the course exams. Of course, in the CFX, the comprehensive final exam of the MicroMasters, the rules are different. But this is an open book exam, so you can use anything you want. Very important point too. You cannot collaborate with others. I can't say it like enough times. And you cannot ask questions about the exam in the forums. So that's absolutely forbidden. It's part of the honor code if you check it in the first module of the course, in the intro module. And if you have any question about the final exam, or you have any problem while you're taking the final exam, you can send us an email directly to sc0x help@mit.edu. I will prepare anyway. I plan on preparing a section specifically about the exam and post it in the course. So all these things that we're sharing today will be crystal clear, and you can consult them anytime.
Perfect. Awesome. That seems to be, yeah, I think we've answered all the questions.
Great. Yeah, very good timing. So then maybe let's wrap up with an overview of the problem and just one key idea for each of the questions of this problem that is in the platform. Is already solved in a video there. So I encourage you to go and try to solve it yourself, then watch the video if you struggle with it to see how I solved it. And now I'll just provide some tip on each question. Okay. Can we go to the slides again? Thank you, Sam. So the first one, again, when you find a problem that is about probability, you really need to understand what's the probability distribution that we're using for each question, because it might change from question to question, and that's what happens in this problem. So the first one is normal distribution. We love the normal distribution because it's super helpful, super useful, and it's applied in many, many different areas in supply chains. So the first one is about normal distribution. I already explained like how to think about it, even graphically, with the widget that I was using a few minutes earlier, the Sandboxes. So I will just jump to question 2. Question 2 is a Poisson distribution as a product that which demand follows a Poisson distribution with a mean of 6. And Poisson distributions are discrete probability distributions. So they are not like normal distributions. They are a little bit different. They have like, they can only, the random variable can only take unique numbers, discrete numbers, not a range, but discrete numbers. So they ask us, and I think this is a very, very interesting question, what is the probability of having sales? So they tell us there's this product, and we might have sales, but of course, there's always some probability of having no sales. So how would I calculate that? Because I have to calculate the probability of the sales being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I mean, until 10, or it can be any number, right? You never know. So the way to think about this is, okay, they're asking me the probability of having sales. That should be 1 minus the probability of not having sales at all. So that was how you should think about this question, because if you just try to calculate the probability of having like any other number of sales, well, it's almost impossible, right? But if you know that the total probability is 1, then you just need to subtract from 1 the probability of having 0 sales. And then about question 3, in question 3, the problem says the product follows a triangle distribution. Remember that triangle distribution is a very interesting distribution because it's a distribution that we use when we don't have much data and we just have some estimates. We know like that we sell no more than a certain number of items a month, no less than a certain number, and we usually sell like another number of items. So we have like this maximum, this minimum, and then the most frequent value. When we have this kind of information that anyone can have on the top of their mind, anyone working at a shop at least, when we have this kind of data, we can use a probability distribution to estimate the demand. So they ask us first, what are the expected sales? And the expected sales is the expected value. And for each distribution, it's there's a formula that helps us calculate it. In this case, it's just the average of these 3 values, the maximum, the minimum, and the most frequent number. So it's really easy. Then the more trickier questions with the triangle distribution come when they give us a value and they ask us the probability of fulfilling the demand, for example, with a certain number of items in stock. Then we should be super careful to look where that value falls, if it's between A and C or between C and B. So between the minimum and the most common value, or between the most common value and the maximum value. Because depending where it falls, the cumulative density function that we'll use will be different. So just keep this in mind, and because it's a very silly error, but it can happen if you're like in a rush through the completing the exam. Great. So here we are. We achieved our goal of finishing in 30 minutes. I don't know if we have any more questions.
No other questions. The only big thing is that the next live event is scheduled for May 30th. So we'll be sending out communications to all of you for problem number 2. So keep an eye out for that. And the only other question that sort of came up is looking at basically tools to use for the exam, SAS as a tool, if that's possible, and if they can use notes from this sort of live event as well as the things that you post.
Yes, you can use any note, all the notes, all the slides. You can use SAS, you can use Excel, you could use other software, Google Spreadsheets if you like, or anything really. So whatever is your preferred software, go for it. And use your notes, use your slides. Just don't collaborate with others for the exam.
Awesome. That's it.
Great. So see you soon in 3 weeks for the next live event, and you can make it.
Awesome. Bye, guys.
Bye.